Whew. Peace, and blessings. Thank you for tuning in. Holla at the Success Scholar. Thank you for tuning in. Dr. Haki Shakur Ahmed, the Success Scholar, Safo, the Honorable One. Man, hope you all are wonderful. Hope you all are having a good day. Happy hump week. Happy Wednesday, y'all. It's an amazing day. It's still a little chilly, I'm sure. I've been taking me a nap, but I'm up, refreshed. Had my goji and noni juice. I'm drinking my ginger tea and what is this? What kind of tea is this? Echinacea. Yes. Immune boosting echinacea. Where my golden seal at? Let me get me some. Oh no, not golden seal. Ginseng. Get my little ginseng spot going. Yes. You know, so you gotta get that in there. But lots going on. Lots of amazing things that are happening in and around the Baltimore area as well as DC. You know, of course, I've been out and about just organizing in real life and creating real practical examples of community building and, you know, being present for the people and just making things happen, y'all. We gotta keep showing up, and not everybody's gonna have our philosophies and opinions, but we gotta make things happen. But I wanted to just talk about Kwanzaa, for instance, and, you know, I mean, of course, I've gone to many. I try to support positive family related things that are happening in our community. Anything to get, you know, community together in a positive way, in an inspirational way, to ensure that that someone there hears something that can spark there and inspire them to transform their life, to grow to another level. But on the other end of that, you know, I'm sort of like in a midlife area, and I've been observing, you know, not necessarily an elder, but, you know, I've been around and had tremendous conversations with many great elders, and I'm just curious, like, you know, in terms of Kwanzaa's, are they truly serving, you know, the spirit and interests of the people? Oh, let me just say, here's my little cup, y'all. My United Nations cup. I got that like 2 years ago, maybe, or maybe last year. So, as I continue to drink my tea, man, I drank tea like all day yesterday, literally. I had, you know, blood pressure related teas, blood sugar teas, you know, just to balance out. Now drinking my ginger and echinacea. So, but yeah, so here's what I've seen. Like last year, I was, you know, I you know, had like a lot of time, so I went to every single Kwanzaa, you know, in and around Baltimore. I think I may have went to one, for instance, in DC at least one day, but mostly I spent them going to some of the Kwanzaas. Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, we have individuals in the community, some elders, for instance, that use this as their one-time, you know, strategic outreach. Their one and only time that you see them, and, you know, I don't think that their knowledge truly is going to be impactful. Ultimately, there has to be a balance between, you know, feeding the people, but, you know, both mentally and materially, but also giving people the transactional skills, the skills to move themselves forward and to really be about the business of growth and empowerment. And so what I'm seeing, for instance, is that Kwanzaa has been, you know, replaced by, people that are clout chasing. They want to get their one, little time of fame because they don't feel secure in their successes. So they have to really try to capitalize off of what little bit of knowledge they know about Africa to try to sort of captivate the different people so that people can sort of look into them as like the leader. And so, and sometimes ego is taking over, especially in Baltimore, where people, have their Kwanzaa events and they're able to get their 10 minutes of speaking in front of a packed audience because people are curious now. And many of the Kwanzaas that I've seen, they're packed and people are showing up. A lot of times people have to get turned away from many of them. And, I would encourage people definitely go to the one at the Sankofa Children's Museum. Fortunately, I was able to have a Ghana Independence Day there at the Sankofa Children's Museum. Yeah, I was able to. That's how I can get folks to reach this, man. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, but yeah. So the Sankofa Children's Museum has one that I generally go to. I know there may be a few things happening on that 27th, but I always, try to go to that one and support. Just encourage everybody. Baba Charlie Duggar, much respect to him and his work, of course. So when I speak about certain elders, for instance, in Baltimore, I'm not just, like labeling everybody, of course, that we all have different lanes that we should grow in, but I've been out in different spaces where folks want to give me 1 minute to speak or 30 seconds to speak, and I'm just like, man, like, come on, like, I'm the only one that been to Africa this year, like, in this whole space, and not that like, within itself, what I'm saying is the work that happened there. I mean, the major global intellectual work. See, what I do, not just going to the United Nations or the African Union per se, but I'm not able to go everywhere. Obviously, not everybody is definitely able to go everywhere, but we have to have a level of humility to give people the opportunity to speak, give people their voice and empower people to share their voice. And so this is where, confidence come in and look, not being ego-centered, unfortunately, because there are too many people that are ego-centered driven. They want to be the grand poobah. They want to build their little Dr. York cults, like they want to be the speaker, and they feel like they're the only ones that have any knowledge. Now, fortunately for me, I've had the blessings of studying at Everyone's Place bookstore in Baltimore, and no, I don't need anybody to co-sign the knowledge that I've got there, but definitely people have seen me out getting books into the hands of many and plenty all throughout the Baltimore and the whole state of Maryland, especially certainly in D.C. and Prince George's County. Matter of fact, I'm heading to Prince George's County like in an hour and a half to go to an event. But so I just wanted to just really discuss. So there's a lot of discussion surrounding Pan-Africanism, and I don't want to put Kwanzaa and Pan-Africanism together necessarily, but because some of the principles are universal. There are certainly universal principles that we all need to embrace as a community. And so I'm putting this out because some people will come and they don't want anything to do with Africa or whatever, but these Kwanzaa was made for black people here in America to reconnect to some cultural norms and create like a new cultural norm, a new cultural reality. So I didn't know Dr. Karenga personally, or the US organization, and I always attempt to discern, always attempt to save the US organization as well as Dr. Karenga. I don't want to leave the organization out that birthed Kwanzaa and the principles of Kwanzaa, and I believe that this is what has been missing. You have some people, for instance, I recall at the Reginald Lewis Museum, where somebody was just up and just praising Dr. Karenga, and you don't have to be like a cult follower, a groupie, like if you're talking about the principles. I know some people want to say that they've been around, they were part of his organization, and so they want to be the Baltimore or the DC, the grand poobah of Kwanzaa every year, because Kwanzaa, there's a lot of different events that take place, and even the Federal F. Lewis Museum recently had something, and I was actually supposed to speak there a few years ago, and then they changed the dynamics, and unfortunately I wasn't able to speak, and so this year, all I said, they had the Sister Cultural Queen, who's a beautiful sister there, so shout out to Culture Queen at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum, but I sent them an email like, in Baltimore, y'all need to sort of kind of have me at the table, at least, for 10 minutes or something to share just in terms of, the role of Africa, the history of Africa. What do I have? I don't have it. Well, it's right here. The book, Dr. Eric Connor's book. So I definitely got the award that I received, the Eric Connor Excellence Award. And so she is definitely one of the top global Pan-Africanists doing the real work, out in the diaspora. They took a significant number to Burkina Faso. I did several videos about that because I believe that certainly if someone is considering doing anything in Africa, we should be doing Kenya and Ghana first and foremost, not just spread out all over the place. I know some of these, different Pan-Africanist, sisters, for instance, they want you to, be all over Africa, like we got unlimited cash flow, and some of that's going to come back and bite the hell out of some of these people, because if you don't build up your skills, your knowledge, your talents, and experiences, and you don't begin, to have like some assets here, you're gonna have some challenges if you're trying to go back to Africa or even travel back to Africa, because you got to keep cash flow coming in. So this is, even for myself, I know now that I think about it, it's like, well, the time, sometimes when you are away from your income generating cash flow, you got to figure out in your mind, like, what do you need to learn? Who do you need to partner with? And how do I respect the people who teach me, different entrepreneurial skills? What sales systems do I need? And so here's the thing, at my age, like, I'm not, I'm not going to keep showing up for these places when I have, invested tremendously, more than many others, of my own money, in going to Africa and experiencing different things that I can bring back, things that I saw, that I learned, that I observed, that needs to be heard from people who may not ever be able to go. See, I went, a few times at a higher level. I didn't just go like, lost tourism. I got many pictures meeting with the governor in Nandi County in Kenya, and going to the newspaper, the largest media outlet in Nairobi. I definitely got to go back, y'all. I definitely got to go back. So I'm going to figure out when or where I can go, but, definitely want to keep, organizing, keep building, keep making moves. But here's the thing. So if I just believe that, especially for those, for instance, that have youth programs, for instance, in Baltimore. Now, I've asked some of these, different like rights programs, Just invest in America, but yeah. Oh no, I get it, brother. But I mean, I'm studying, brother. I'm not like I ain't locking myself in just investing in America, brother. Says just invest in America. Like, okay, I ain't either way. Like, I'm wherever I need to win. Like, period. So, but if you can get products and services or outsource your product, every major corporation, they are outsourcing services, products, manufacturing in other places to keep up, to be able to maintain. Yes, you can invest in somebody here to do things, but I have ghostwriters, people, well, editors, for instance, you know, that I can invest in their skills, invest in their talents, that would do things, for me, vice versa, that I personally couldn't be able to afford here. So I'm just saying you got to work smarter, and if you can find some wins here, great. So with that being said, yes, I'm looking for some talented videographers, editors, and writers and actors, because I want to do like something locally here in the Baltimore area. So for those that are definitely willing, but so yeah, so here's the thing, I've tried to get some of these groups to not just partner to do things in Africa, but also to do things locally, like the Freedom Rides that I've been a part of. And we couldn't find none of these different Pan-Africanist groups to do the Freedom Rides, because I don't know, and some people, some of these Pan-Africanists, they do feel like they don't want to deal with like all black people here or something, like as if somehow. And then the strange thing, let me tell you, the strange thing about some of these Pan-Africanists, they consider some black folks Negroes or something, right? But then they don't go around no Africans, the continental Africans whatsoever. So I'm just like, it's like a hodgepodge of like just wearing dashikis, wearing little outfits like this and beating on drums, but then they don't show up for nothing else. They just want to beat on drums. They can't teach young people anything because they're not experiencing anything. They're not going anywhere. They don't. I try to get some of these black men professional groups to go to Dr. Fraser's Power Networking Conference. Like none of them. It was just in D.C. When it was in National Harbor at the Gaylord. Like none of these groups like did anything. Like, so I'm just like, man, y'all's too far behind for me, man. I'm like, I can't be going these black men groups, Pan-African rites of passage groups, and then like even for instance, none of them wanted to go to D.C. for the CBC stuff, and I'm just like, man, this is wild. And then I didn't see some of these folks, for years, like none of them showed up for any of the ASCAC conferences, Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization, or Association of Black Psychologists, like with Dr. Naeem Akbar when he was around, and the Kobe Kambones. Like, these brilliant black psychologists, Dr. Asu, sister, forget her name, in Philadelphia, the yoga sister, brilliant. Sometimes we don't. Yeah. So yeah, I feel you, brother. Yeah. So and that's where I'm just calling these people out, because like it's time that it's a reckoning season. It's a reckoning season with me, like offering for those that's ready to grow, those that's ready to go to another level. I'm just calling these folks out. So please, if you in the Baltimore, D.C. area and you consider yourself conscious, like definitely holler at me first. Like get my buy-in, because some of these folks, they're not like worth your time. So if you're younger than me, I'd say I'm just looking, if you don't know me by now, and if you're between the age of 20 and 40, seek me out. Seek out my knowledge and experience first before you talk to some of these other people, like, because they're not going to move tactfully. I don't think that they have. I mean, it's a good stepping stone. Let me just say, some of these initiatives are a good stepping stone, but they're not going to step you into the right direction where you have to be able to maneuver, and think ahead, so they don't have those levels of training. And so many of them, they get angry with myself because I have, some unique experiences, and I'm sharing things, I'm making things happen. And so I found I've had to, like, sort of step away, certainly from some of these black men groups, because, they're just some slackers, and they have some women in their lives that didn't have no standards for them, and they, just allow for themselves to be, to become stale, intellectually stale, and economically stale. And so, as I continue to organize and study the work of Dr. Amos Wilson and studying the work of Dr. Claude, and even get in these spaces to start making things happen, I'm really learning, and I'm reading through things, and I'm like, all right, I have to take some initiatives. And so many of them, they don't listen to radio, they don't listen to black radio, like Dr. Carl Nelson show. So they so far behind. I've been listening to Carl Nelson for the past 6-7 years, all these different scholars, and did the Power Talk. I was a sponsor of that for those that are in the DC area. While many of these folks in Baltimore, these rites of passage programs and these, so-called professors, they just, you might hear some of them on his show, but you never see them nowhere in the community. They ain't making nothing happen. And let me just, really quick, there was the recent reparations veto that just came, and let me just say, there's some of these groups, they not real Pan-Africanists or some sort. They like what PKV would call water sprinklers, or Negro nationalists. Like, so you got some people, for instance, in these these reparation spaces that, they want to take claim for what happened in Maryland, for what the delegates did, what the senators did. And ultimately, and then you'll say the reparations bill passed, but then on the other side of that, you attack the Democratic Party every single day of your life. Like, make it make sense, man. Like, what it's going to be? Like, it is what it is. You just going to have to, if you either going to be in or you're going to be out. You're going to either work with some of these people or you're not. And I just posted a photo on my Facebook of the sister, the sponsor of the reparations bill, Alethea McCaskill. She's the delegate in District 44, and she's the sponsor of on the House side of the reparations bill. And my thing is, like, people sitting up there posting, patting themselves on the back, and they ain't say nothing about her. Like, they didn't mention her name not once in the post, like, to thank her for, submitting the bill and continuing to push on it, like, and not giving up, and the Black Caucus for not giving up, the chair of the Black Caucus. So I just, I'm just putting it all together. And again, some of these so-called Pan-Africanists, they aren't anywhere. They don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. Like, who sponsored the bill? Like, they just, like, in a vacuum. And and you expect for us to take our children. You expect for a rights program to to exist based upon just beating on drums, like, and doing libations. Like, it has to be more to life than that. And see, this is why, I appreciate, for instance, even, I can speak in a very fair and reasonable way about, the Kwanzaa, but also the Black Panthers. See, because there was the what they call the diametric materialism, where they spoke about, gaining materialist gains, like practical nationalism of sorts. Uh, and unfortunately, many individuals who, for instance, want to be like cultural nationalists, if it wasn't for people like me, and how I think and how we have to move to build, certain power, for instance, in Maryland, and understanding power nationally and internationally, these people would just like fold up. These people would fold up, and they would be in their rooms, burning some sage and pouring some libations, and getting ready for their next Kwanzaa. And there they'll have it, and they're ready for the next Kwanzaa for next December, and they'll just go away and hide for one full year. So I just want to put that out there, y'all, because unfortunately, some of these Kwanzaas aren't taking us to another level. But definitely, if it's something affiliated with myself, you definitely know that you won't get a well-balanced analysis, a more empowering analysis. And here's the thing: I show up in real life. I appreciate the quality, conscious elders that are around me, that's in my space, that continue to support my work. Not many of them, but they're growing. I've ensured that I've consciously positioned myself and positioned the work to ensure that I have the right allies on board, and the wrong ones, the dumb ones, outside. So that's where I'm at now, y'all. Yes, we have some not too wise Pan-Africanists, and I know from being like around them over the next in the past couple years. And, although sometimes, I've been, uplifted by many, some are just myopic, and basically they're not very intelligent. They're not very intelligent about a lot of different things. And so I have a fair balance, having gone to Kenya and Tanzania and Ethiopia and South Africa, a few places, and I'm listening to different people, and I'm studying, and I'm just standing by because I need to win. I need to survive. And you can't have no dumb ass Pan-Africanists like riding with you, right? If they too far behind, too slow, and you can't make them grow up, you gotta leave them behind. You gotta leave their asses behind. Like, I don't mean to like label people as Pan-Africanists, but some people put themselves in this little box, and it's really shallow. It's really stupid. It's like a cult, like some of these, religious fanatics out here. So, if you're gonna have like a fake cult, make sure that you have some intelligent, thinking people that's a part of that group, that is growth oriented, that's productive, right? Produce something, like manifest something. So, Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, brother Victor and T. Cobb. Appreciate you both. So I did about 30 minutes. I'm gonna do one more stream in a couple of minutes. Take me a break. I'm drinking my tea and get ready for this event that I'm gonna go to in a couple of minutes. Matter of fact, I'm gonna eat me a little bit of cereal, and then I'm gonna put my clothes on and make it out of here. So. Thank you all. Thank you, brother Victor, man. Appreciate you. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you for being in the corner, making some things happen. Stay tuned in, man. I only can do but so much, but I'm staying active and keeping my head above the water for now. But some people are trying to make me drown, and I can't have that. So I gotta fight back. I gotta survive. I have to breathe. I have to put the oxygen mask on myself first, and if it has to be scorched earth, it's going to be scorched earth, because the quality work is manifested, and you can see the work being done. And unfortunately, many of these people, they just show up every once in a while. So and they can't move us forward. So thank you all. Peace and blessings. Stay tuned for this for my next stream in a couple minutes here. Peace and blessings.